After months and months of free release marketing, Ubisoft's MMO Race of the Crew seemed to disappear from the spotlight fairly quickly after its December launch last year. Rather than continue with the game's frankly pretty tedious story elements, with first expansion, Wild Run, developer Ivory Tower has decided to double down on the open world fun that has kept its players around these last few months, adding new competitions, challenges and vehicles, and a number of entirely new racing disciplines in the process. Of the expanded roster of vehicles, it's monster trucks and motorbikes that provide the most drastically different experiences. The former are great fun to drive. A new stunt driving game mode sees you flip them around a kind of makeshift skate park, trying to net as many point tokens as possible. It's a more free-form, arcadey style of driving that's a nice change from street racing. If you're not too bothered about competitions, you can always set up your own races across the American wilderness, bouncing over sand dunes and smashing your way through traffic as you go. The new vehicles, including bikes and trucks, can also be taken into most of the original game's story missions, with a few caveats. It's obviously not going to be particularly viable to take down a fleeing four-wheel drive monster with a Yamaha superbike. Talking of bikes, they're fun to use as well, but it's obvious that they've been slightly jammed into a game that's designed more for four-wheel vehicles. Crash on a bike, and rather than see your poor rider and his vessel careen across the motorway, you sort of awkwardly fade to black and restart a few metres back. It's symbolic of a general lack of physicality to the bikes. Leaning on corners feels stiff, and the handling is ever so slightly cumbersome. On the plus side, they do add a bit of extra variety to the game, and there's definitely fun to be had dipping in and out of traffic on the freeway, or bounding across the wilderness on a dirt bike. All these new toys should make traversing the crew's impressively detailed landscapes even more fun. Extended road trips with friends have always been the best way to experience the game, and in Wild Run a few new tools have been added to add a bit of structure to that open world exploration. Free drive challenges are essentially custom races that you can set up across the entire map. You've got up to 10 checkpoints that you can place on the map, but there's no maximum distance between any 2 points. If you fancy racing your mates from one side of America to another, you can simply scatter a few checkpoints across the map, invite them to a party, and away you go. Free drive stunt challenges work in a similar way, but task you with fulfilling certain objectives on the open world, like popping a wheelie for a specific distance or narrowly avoiding a certain number of cars. If you're looking for something a bit more structured, there are several new racing disciplines to try out in a new competition called the Summit, which is kind of an endgame event area where you can enter various races and time trials and compete on global leaderboards. The aforementioned monster truck arenas offer a knockabout distraction, and drag and drift racing both make their debut. The former is really a test of your timing as you try and get your gear changes exactly right while maintaining heading and speed. The latter, which you earn points for swinging your car around corners like a Premiership footballer after 36 pints, is tough as nails to get the hang of, but a lot of fun once it clicks. It makes the most out of the crew's slightly loose, delayed handling model, and combined with new dynamic weather effects, offers an entertainingly chaotic ride. Those new weather effects are part of an all-round visual upgrade to the game's going to receive alongside the expansion. Enhanced lighting effects and depth of field work add a layer of sheen that really brings out the best in what remains a pretty astonishingly crafted open world. Dynamic weather makes a big difference too, especially when the sun goes down and you're hurtling around corners on rain-slick city roads. Again, it's a seemingly small addition that just makes the world feel more alive. Wild Run looks to capitalise on what made the crew enjoyable, rather than stubbornly trying to improve what didn't work. It seems to rightly recognise that the game's at its best when you're roaring around the open world, endangering motorists' lives, and generally causing chaos, rather than when it tries to make you feel invested in the action by dragging you through a sub-Fast and Furious narrative, or forcing you to endlessly grind missions for new cars. The idea here is to give you the toys and tools to create your own fun, and simply let you loose. In other words, Wild Run aims to be exactly what the main game should have been upon release. From what I've seen so far, it stands a good chance of fulfilling that objective. For more from GameWatcher, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Twitter at GameWatcher.com.